Hello, in this video, I'll be showing you how to install Astropy and various other pieces of Python software that you may need for the Astronomy 443 observational course into your account on Uhura and the other Astronomy Computing Facility machines that are located on the 4th floor of the Astronomy building. So in order to do this, we're going to make use of a Python package management system called Conda. And in fact, we're going to be using an installer called Miniconda. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm assuming that you're going to be working remotely. You won't be physically in front of the Uhura machine when you do this. And so you're first going to download the installer onto your local machine, copy it over into your account on Uhura, and do the install there. Once you have this on Uhura, you'll be able to use this software on any of the other astronomy computing facility machines, and I'll show you how to do that at the very end. So let's start off by actually loading the Conda installer, downloading the Conda installer onto your local machine. So I'll start off here by basically introducing you to the Conda installer system, and we're going to make use of a light version of that called Miniconda. We're not going to do a full Conda install. That will take quite a while, and you don't really need it. It's very bloated with a lot of packages that you won't need. What we're going to do is install with Miniconda Astropy, and that will bring in all the prerequisite packages that are needed along with it. How do you find Miniconda? The easiest way is to just go into Google, and in the Google bar, type in Miniconda. It'll turn it up, the very first link you'll see here. And actually, let me now share my screen with you so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to share my desktop with you, my entire desktop, and you'll be able to see here that I have a shell window open here, and I have a browser up. And in that browser, in the Google bar there, I've typed in Miniconda, and the very first link that shows up there is Miniconda Conda documentation. If I click on that, you'll see that once this responds, and I apologize, I have a fairly slow connection here. I'm doing this video at home. You'll see that there is a page about Miniconda. And you can read the information there about this, about what it's available for, but we're just going to scroll down here, and we're going to get the latest Miniconda installer links right here. And the second one down right here, or first one here under Linux, is the Miniconda 3 Linux 64-bit. This will install a Python 3-based Miniconda installer onto a Linux 64-bit architecture, which is what we're going to be working on Uhura and all of the other astronomy machines. So if I click on that, it'll download here. I've already downloaded it a few times before. You can see it's going to download. It's going to take about 63.6 megabytes in a few seconds here to do this. Your connection may be faster than mine. I'm sharing it with other family members here at home, so it's a little slow right now. All right, now you may be prompted and say something like, this type of file can harm your computer. Do you want to keep Miniconda anyway? You can safely keep that. All right, the reason that this is the Chrome here is showing you some caution is this is an installer script. You're not going to run this on your local machine anyway. All right, this is something you're going to run under your account on Uhura. And it's just kind of leery about installer scripts here, because if they come from a malicious source, bad things could happen. But the Conda.io website here is a reputable source, and it's safe to keep this. So I'm going to keep this here. And typically when you download things, they'll be under, if you're working on a Linux machine anyway, into a downloads directory. If you're working from a Windows or from a Mac OS based machine, they'll be in a different location. I'll let you figure that out where it is on your own. But if I do an ls, you'll see the file there, Miniconda 3 latest Linux x86_64.sh. Now, what we're going to do is copy this over via SSH. And so what you would do is do something like SCP and give it that file name, and then copy it to your account on Uhura. Now, each of you is going to have a different username on Uhura to copy to, and so I can't reproduce that. So what I'm going to do is use an account on Uhura that basically I've set up for this purpose to demonstrate how an install would go. And I made the username on the Uhura account that I'm using here, AJ Cannon, after Annie Jump Cannon, a fairly famous astronomer that gave rise to a modern spectral classification system. So we'll honor Andy Jump Cannon here by using that throughout this entire demo. When you do this, you're going to change the username to whatever your username is. So here I would copy to AJ Cannon, which is the account I've set up for this purpose on Uhura, and give it uhura.astro.sunysb.edu, like this, with a colon at the end. And this will copy it into the home directory of that machine. I'd hit SCP, supply my password, and let this copy over. It would take a little while here because, as I said, I have a very slow connection right now because at the moment I'm sharing it with other family members who are watching TV and streaming video and so forth. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I've already got it there, and I'm going to log in, or I've already logged into that account over here. And this is, I've remotely logged in via SSH, and there's the installer that I've copied over there. Now, you could run the installer in your home directory, but we don't want you to do that. We want you to install this under your Astrolab directory. If you're logged in here and you're part of the AST 443 course or the graduate version thereof, then you have an account under the Astrolab directory. And so we're going to copy things over there. That is an exclusive disk for your use. It has much more storage space than we have available on the home directories. Plus, if you install it there, you'll be able to use it from other machines without having to do very much extra in order to make that happen. So we'll do that way. So let me copy the Miniconda installer file over to /astrolab. And I made a typo there, Astrolab. And in this case, I'm assuming this account is going to be used in the fall of 2021. So to Astrolab fall 2021, and then your directory there, which in this case would be Anti-Jump Cannon's directory, right? AJ Cannon, like this. And I'll copy it over there, and then I'm going to CD over to that directory, /Astrolab /fall 21 /AJ Cannon. All right, and if I do an ls, you'll see the installer sitting there right now. Now we can run the installer from this directory, and I'm going to walk you through how to do that. It's an interactive installer that basically you're going to have to answer some questions about. So let's just do it. The way we're going to run this is using the bash shell. So I'll say /user /bin/bash, and then the Miniconda installer shell script name. When I do that, it's going to tell me, welcome to Miniconda Pi 39_4.10.3. This is going to be installing a Python 3.9 installation-based system here to do this install. We're first going to get Conda installed, Miniconda installed, and then once we've done that, we'll be able to do an installation of Astropy on top of Conda using the Conda package management system. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing you have to do is basically review the license agreement. So you press enter to do that, and it's going to page you through the license agreement file. You have to read through this, and basically once you've done that, I've done this, and basically if you agree to the license, you're simply going to say yes. Okay, then it will tell you where it's going to be installed. It will say now be installed into this location, /home/AJ Cannon /Miniconda 3. You're not going to want to do that because things will automatically be deleted every night if you install it there. So you're going to want to install into permanent storage you have, which is in your Astrolab directory. So here's what I will do. I'm going to say here /home/ not home, Astrolab /fall 21 /AJ Cannon. And I'm going to give it a directory to install into that doesn't already exist. And I'm going to install it in a directory called Conda, C-O-N-D-A. Okay. I'll hit enter, and it'll say unpacking payload, and it will go through the installation process. This won't take terribly long, hopefully. You can see it's going to be interactively changing, installing various things, and basically preparing the transaction, executing the transaction. And overall, this goes fairly quick. If we were to install instead of Miniconda, the entire Conda package, this would take quite a while, and it would take around 3 gigabytes of space in order to do that. So it'll also ask you here, do you wish the installer to initialize Miniconda 3 by running Conda init? And the answer is you want to say is yes. You want to initialize Conda for your account. So we'll say yes here, all right? And that's it. It's run. Now, in order for the changes to take effect, you have to log out and log back in. And the reason for that is that you have basically modified your bash RC file, your .bash RC file here. The Miniconda installer has modified it in a way that I'll show you now. Let's do a CD, which will take me to Anti-Jump Cannon's home directory here, and I'll say more .bash RC, and you'll see there's some modifications that are specific to this installation, which have been done. All right, here you see this section down here going down further, basically. And what this is going to do is basically set up Conda. It's going to modify the path shell variable, the environment variable that you have in your account, so that basically you have access to all this when you run. All right, so it will make these modifications for you, and this is all done automatically. You don't have to worry about this. So the way to basically get this to take effect is to log out and log back in. Now I'm logged in from Kirk here to do this, and I'm going to log out. I'll do a Control D here to log out, and then log back in again here. And this will prompt me for Anti-Jump Cannon's password, which I'll put in. Now, this time when I'm logged in, notice that my prompt now says base AJ Cannon. I'm in the base Conda environment now, and that's what that Conda init set up for you. Okay, you can see that this is working by doing a couple things. First of all, we could say which Python 3. All right, and it will tell me that my Python 3, and Jump Cannon's Python 3 is /astrolab/fall21/AJ Cannon /Conda/bin/Python 3. All right, and if you want to try that out, you can say Python 3, and sure enough, it will put you into the interpreter there. It's telling you it's running Python 3.9.5. Okay, so I don't want to use that right now. I want to exit. Okay, the next step is, now that we've done that, we're going to install Astropy. And the way to do that is from the command line here, we're going to say Conda. And by the way, now you can check this out by saying which Conda, and you should see Conda appear there in /astrolab/fall21/AJ Cannon /Conda/bin/Conda. So in your case, rather than having AJ Cannon right here, you'll have whatever your username is. Okay, so that means when we invoke Conda, we're invoking this specific version of Conda, not a system-wide installation of Conda that may have been done elsewhere. So let's do that to install Astropy. We'll say Conda install Astropy, like this, all right? And it's going to install Astropy and all the requisite packages that are needed to basically enable Astropy, and I'll show you how to test that those have all been installed here. So we'll hit return. It'll say collecting package metadata, and it'll give you a list of all the packages that basically it's going to install that are needed by Astropy. All right, and you can scroll back and take a look at those if you like. You can just simply hit yes or Y here, or just hit enter. I'll put Y just to be safe. And it'll tell you what it's downloading and what it's installing. So this will take a minute or two. It's actually reasonably quick. It's not too bad. If we were to do a full Conda instead of Miniconda installation of things, the Conda installation alone would take quite a while to do. All right, then Astropy probably would be a little bit faster, but it would take quite a bit of space. As it is, this doesn't take too much space up, and we'll see that. I'll show you how much space it requires here when we're done. So it's going through this list of packages. As you can see, it's downloading, and once it does the packages, it'll install fairly quickly. Now, the nice thing is about this, you'll have your own environment. It won't be subject to any other changes on the system and won't conflict with things that are used in the system. All right, so let's just wait a few moments more and it'll have, okay, so it's got downloaded most of the packages, it's preparing the transactions, it's executing these transactions, that is installing this, and this is all under your account, and it's done. That's it. So now you have Astropy installed. How can you test that this works? Well, let's test some things. Astropy is going to make use of packages like NumPy. It's going to make use of SciPy. It's going to make use of Matplotlib. It's its own package that has its own module with it. So let's just test that all in Python 3. How can we do that? Let's open up Python 3, the interpreter here. All right, now this comes up, it tells me I'm in Python 3.95. Let's see whether we can import those packages. Let's say import NumPy as, let's import it as NP. That worked. Let's import SciPy we'll import it as SP. All right, so if I want to invoke things from NumPy or SciPy, I can basically address them as NP dot something or SP dot something. Let's do the PyPlot sub package of the matplotlib package, very popular for plotting. Let's say import matplotlib dot pyplot as PLT. Okay. This is going to probably take a minute the first time you do it because it may have to generate some fonts for you and things. You may get a message basically generating fonts and adding them to your cache. So that's normal. I've actually done this once before, so it didn't take too long here, but it may take a minute or two to do that the very first time in your account. Finally, let's see if we can import Matplot or Astropy directly. I could say import Astropy as, let's import it as AP. All right, and it did it. So if you can do this, you now successfully have installed Astropy. It has all these other requisite packages such as NumPy, SciPy, Matplotlib, things like that that are being used for that. And you'll have full access to all of these things. So now that we have that installed, we can go ahead and if you want to use this on Hura, you can certainly do that. Your account is all set up to make use of that. If you want to use it on the other machines, what you need to do at that point, let's exit Python here. Let's go back now that I've exited Python. Let's do a more on, let's move back and make sure we're in a home directory. I'll do a more on .bash rc. And you can see my .bash rc file has all this set up. You could cut and paste this if you wanted to right here into your bash rc file on any of the other machines where the Astrolab directory is mounted. Right. Or you could simply copy this .bash rc file. If you've got it set up the way you want it on Ahura, you could copy it over to another machine like Vulkan and you'll do it. Now, I'll warn you that these packages will not run as fast from other machines. Astropy is physically mounted on Uhura. All right. If you run it from Vulkan or something, it is going to be a little bit slower because all that information has to be exchanged over the network. And especially if there are a lot of people working on the cluster at that point, the bandwidth to that may be smaller. So your best bet, if possible, is to work on Uhura for the best performance. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And hopefully this helps you get Astropy installed under your own account here, and you'll have your own individual installation. You can customize it however you like, and you can use Conda to actually install other packages as well. All you would have to do is just type Conda install, and then whatever the package name you want to install is after that. And this will install under your account. You don't need any root permission. And it installs from the Conda repositories, which are fairly secure compared to other Python package systems like PyPy, which are notoriously insecure and have introduced quite a bit of malware. So good luck. If you have any problems, let me know.